Hi, it's Tim Hagen from Progress Coaching, and welcome to another episode of Coaching Conversations. And I wanted to make you aware of something very cool that we're doing on a subscription basis, and we'll put a link in each one of our episodes. But every Wednesday, we're going to be doing what we call an audio podcast workshop. That workshop will be roughly about 14 to maybe 20 minutes per episode, with each month having a theme from a coaching model, using feedback strategically, to coaching self-awareness, and so on. So if you could look in the body or in the content description of each episode, and you will see a link where you can join this subscription. These are literally 4 workshops every month teaching specific strategies to address a particular area of workplace coaching as it relates, again, to things like awareness, motivation, teamwork, and what have you. Here's the cool thing. It's only $10 per month, and each month you will get a handout that we will follow along with. So we also give you a tool for you to take notes as we go through each episode. We hope you'll check it out.
Yesterday, I led a session on how to coach to change and conflict. And what's the most amazing thing is the group I had was fantastic, and they asked great questions. And one of the things that I thought about more than anything was people really want to handle these things. People want to get better at conflict. They want to be able to accept change and help those people who struggle with change. So the great thing about our industry is there's a willingness. I go back to 2 fundamentals. The reason people do not coach is usually masked in one fundamental reason. And it came up in our session yesterday. I had a training director look at me and say, well, what do you do when your managers tell you they don't have time? I said, don't fight it. She said, excuse me? I said, just don't fight it. She said, well, what do I do? I said, just tell your managers, okay, if you're not going to coach, could you just do me a favor? Just tell your people, have a meeting, conduct a staff meeting, and just let everybody know, by the way, I'm not going to be spending time with you this year. I'm not going to have time for you. And I will do your end of the year review. The whole room erupted in laughter. I said, the reason I think you should do that is don't fight it. Because they dug their heels in. It's a ridiculous excuse because nobody in their right mind would hold a staff meeting, sit down, and say, oh, by the way, I'm not going to have time for you. And she looked at me and she started laughing. She goes, that's awesome. I said, I'm not saying to be sarcastic. I'm literally suggesting that you look at your manager who says that and says, you know what? Then don't coach. But you need to tell your people so their expectations are properly set. And I guarantee you, he or she will look at you and say, well, what do you mean? Well, just sit down and just tell them, I'm not going to have time to spend time with you. Because that's literally what's going to happen. And they're going to think it. At least set their expectations to be fair. No manager in their right mind is going to do that. So it comes down to 2 reasons that people do not coach. They don't know what to do and they don't know what to say. I was in a room full of skilled leaders yesterday. And many of them were taking tons of notes. Now, not because what I say or what our company does is the gospel, but they were looking for 2 things. What do we do and what do we say? So when you're handling change and you're handling conflict, or you want to coach effective team communication or proactive behaviors, whatever it might be, if you don't first define it, the expectations are a moving target. Once you define it, you illustrate and you pinpoint the actions that support the definition. That's the start. So the woman who had asked me the question about time, she said, well, what do you do when people don't know what coaching is? I said, define it. Create a definition. And we went through this process and we call it define and coach. And I walked her through it. You make a definition and then you support it with 3 to 5 bullet items that really become the things that you coach to. She said, oh my gosh, I love this. I said, if you do that, here's the good news. Now expectations have been set. It gives visibility even to the managers who say they don't have time. But then if you can write down and give them coaching questions, strategies, activities, learning projects specific to what do you need to do and what do you need to say, they will be more willing and apt to coach.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Coaching Conversations by Tim Hagen and Progress Coaching. Now, our company is always coming out with new and innovative solutions to help leaders coach their employees. And recently, we just created a new service called Coach to You, where leaders can pick and choose topics and assign 7 to 21-day programs for employees to learn and, more importantly, apply actions and then reflect and share what they're going to do going forward as a result of the learning. It's called Coach to You. We're literally bringing coaching to your employees. If you're intrigued, we'll have a link in each one of our episodes where you can get more information. And again, thank you so much for listening to another episode.